show design just for the beginner. In this episode I'm going to be showing you how to do a skull. Like, you guys haven't seen a million skulls. I'm just going to go through some of the basics. I took a picture that a customer sent me, and I'm not going to copy this to a T. I redrew it. As you can see, my design's a little bit different, made swords bigger. It's still the same basic design, but I'm going to change it up a little bit. I don't like copying other people's work, but sometimes you got to alter it a little bit to make it your own. This is not my original artwork, by no means. Due credit to the original artist. We're going to do a little bit of work on an ashtray and a glove box before I do the sign. This is still part of the project that I'm doing. Alright, we switched up to white, and I'm just going around the outside edges. Finished up the glove box and the ashtray. Well, glove box, ashtray. Alright, pulled all my pieces out, and I have a silver background behind me. That's what I painted the whole baseboard with. So now we'll go back in and start airbrushing with white. Now we're taking the pieces that we cut out, we're going to lay them back in. And we'll take our razor blade or X-Acto knife, whatever you prefer to use, and peel out the bottom. Be sure to not cut too deep as you're going. Always keep your pieces that you pull out off to the side. This is transfer paper that I'm using. Now we'll grab our black. Spray half on the edge of this and half onto the area that you actually want to paint. Make sure your airbrush is turned on. Now we'll just add some streaks through there. Just using dagger strokes. A couple of darker ones here and there. We'll repeat the process on the other side. Now I've got a gray mixture. I've added a couple drops of blue. I'm going to add one more drop of blue. And then we'll just hold our finger over the end of the tip and mix it in a cup. Don't pull full trigger, because if you do, it'll splatter up in your face. Okay, spray it out a little bit, get the color you want. We're going to add a little bit of this color in there. Now we'll peel this off. And we're just going to repeat the process on the rest of the blade. So we're going to go back in with a little bit of white here and there, a little bit of black. Just kind of do some highlights. Using dagger strokes. A little bit of black again. I'll take a little bit of this grayish blue mixture and come across the edge, because I want this to stand out. Alright, we're going to take our white, and if you're good at doing fine lines, we're just going to follow down the edge of the sword. Alright, we've got the outer ring cut out and ready to go. I'm going to use kind of a brownish gray color. I'll show you right here. I'm going to lightly fog the outside of it. We're going to create it to look like stone. I want to keep it in the blacks and grays and whites, but I want a little bit of color, just a little contrast. So lightly spray around it. When I go back over with the blacks and the grays, it'll knock down this brown a lot. It looks really brown right now, but that's not the way it's going to look. Now I have dark gray mixed up, and I'm just going to take a piece of tape, fold it in two, and I'm going to do a splatter by holding it underneath the bottom of the airbrush, right at your tip, and you can adjust how much splatter you want on it. Just holding it right under the edge, and you can lightly lift it up. Don't bend your needle. I want to go out to the edge a little bit more. There we go. We're going to repeat this technique using white and black. Now we have white, and another technique is you can use a paintbrush like this here and just shoot through it. Practice out on the side until you get it down to where you want it. Now we'll use the same technique and use black. I've put all the pieces back in, and now I've already cut the edges out. I'm going to pull the top piece off. Keep all your pieces every time you pull them out. So they're nice to stick back in as a guideline for your next color. Sometimes where you overlay the two pieces of transfer paper, you got to cut just a little deeper, but don't cut too much so you ruin your project. Sharp blades all the time. So now I've taken the top part out. Now I'm going to, since this is going to be having our light source coming from here, I'm going to highlight this edge, and then we're going to take this piece off and we'll do the bottom, and we'll kind of take a little bit of darker gray and black down on the bottom here. Then we're going to reverse angles as they come around the edges. But let's get some color on this. Alright, we're going to take our white and just go on the edges right here, and I'm going to spray half on the paper and half on the surface that I want it on. The biggest problem I see beginners make is they'll spray out on the surface. You want half and half is what you want. And just follow on that edge. Less is more. Doesn't look like there's hardly anything on there. Wait until you see that. We'll take it from the top here. Since the light source is coming from the top, you're going to go on both sides of it a little bit. You still want kind of a peak. All these stencils you can buy at Coast Airbrush, don't forget that. Pull this off here real quick just so you can see. Didn't look like I put very much on, but look at that. Now we put our other pieces back in. Now I use black. Same method, just stand in between the outline that you got cut out and the surface. Probably sound better if I took the razor blade out of my mouth. If you have a little bit of an area like this right here where my masking's not up to it, just put a stencil in there, cut that edge. We've taken the masking off on the outside edge, we've already did the top. Now we're going to go from here down and we're going to use black. Don't get it too dark. And then our shadow, we're going to do a shadow. I want the sword to stand up off of it, so I'm gonna, instead of putting the shadow tight, I'm going to bring it down a little ways. I want it to look like it's floating over top of this edge. Now we're going to take black we're going to add some cracks, and then we'll take some white and highlight them here and there. When you're coming across, like here, remember this is beveled, so you don't want to just go straight across. Like, you don't want to just run your line straight across. You want to bring it down to the edge. Just do a little teeny fine line. And then when you come to the edge, you want to break it back the other direction so it looks like it goes over a bevel. Create a little bit of a pocket right here. I'll show you what it looks like when you take white and highlight it. Remember, don't overdo your cracks because it can look really bad when you get too many in there. But just add a little here and there. And if you know your chain, like the chain's coming across right here, so I'm not going to put too much right there. I kind of want to leave that by itself. And you can go back in, add little dark spots here and there. In fact, I'm going to zoom in and show you how to fade down to make it look like it's just draining off of the concrete. So we'll go back in right here. We'll just kind of do some streaks down. A little pocket here. Those stones broke out. You can go back in with your white. Just highlight the edges. I kind of went a little too much right there. It will happen. You're going to do the same thing. So come back in and hit your edge. Alright, we're going to use clear transfer paper. And this is another product you can buy from Coast Airbrush. As you can see, I got them on my wall there. They're a great company. I use them all the time. So we'll peel this piece off. Same with Iwata, all my brushes are Iwata. But you got your clear transfer paper, put it right back over. We'll cut out the design that we want to airbrush. We kind of jumped ahead a little bit, we're into the helmet now. I'll go back in and outline all the sword and edges and stuff. I'm just kind of filling in stuff right now. We're using white. This is the base of the silver, and I left it and I'm just highlighting. Well, we cut out the face now, so we're going to start airbrushing in the skull. Just going to do a light layer of white. Sounds like my neighbor's using a table saw. So we're just going to do a couple little highlights. And then we're going to go back in, cut out all the eye patch and the face and everything. Now we'll go back in and do all our little details with the black. Go around, shadow the outside. Kind of making them recessed in there a little bit. Back in with some white.